Father, y'all, we come before you right now. Just thank you right now for this day right now. We thank you right now for just being with us right now. Father, y'all, we just thank you right now for your mercy and for your grace right now. Father, y'all, we thank you right now we have a heart of repentance. Father, y'all, we thank you right now we have a heart of obedience. We thank you right now we turn toward the things of you, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we thank that we go down that straight and narrow road, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we just thank you right now for just being with us as a whole. We thank you for this day that you have made. We should continue to rejoice and be glad in it. Father, y'all, we just thank right now as we begin to draw nigh to you, that you draw nigh to us after we have resisted house of time. Father, y'all, we just thank right now for the things of the Ruach, Father, y'all. We thank right now for the Ruach, how could just begin to flow in our life, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we just thank right now we begin to shake the shamayim right now even more, Father, y'all. We thank right now we begin to walk into our destiny, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we thank that we begin to walk into the things of you. Father, y'all, we think that we should begin to walk in power, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we think that we tear down that religious mindset, Father, y'all. We tear down everything, Father, y'all, that's contrary to the movement of you, Father, y'all. We thank, Father, y'all, we draw now to you through obedience, Father, y'all. We think that it's about the relationship, Father, y'all. We think that we begin to build our relationship with you, Father, y'all. Father, y'all, we think that we begin to do the mighty works of you, Father, y'all. And we just magnify your name. We think that this is the day that you have made, and we shall rejoice and be glad in it. In the name of Son, Yahushua Mashiach, we pray. All right, y'all, we're back. We're going to be dealing with the days of Noah. Join this Shabbat day today. So we're going to look into the days of Noah. Basically, what we're at with it is when you look at the research, when you kind of read in between the words and start talking about it, just like it was in the days of Noah in the gospel, it's like most of the stuff that we see going on was happening back then too, because you have, angels leaving their heavenly estate and they're coming there, they're bringing intelligence and bringing knowledge of things that they didn't have already. So we have to look at what's going on now that's getting everybody to turn away from Yah. And so we're going to get right into the word because it needs no introduction. We know that we're in a time where evil is increasing. It's like people are not really concerned about the Most High or anything that got something to do with his people. They're just more concerned about themselves. It's like a lot of pride going on, a lot of people caught up into things that are not of Yah, caught up into worldly knowledge and stuff. So we're going to look at what's going on, how the Most High wanted to destroy everybody from Adam. I think it's somewhere around close to 10 generations from Adam. You get to Noah, and all of a sudden now he's mad and wanting to destroy everybody, repenting that he even created man like that, because man has gotten so evil and wicked, walking in the flesh. And so we're going to look at Genesis. Genesis chapter 6. We're going to be dealing with Genesis 6, 1 through 8. And we're going to kind of go through a few scriptures and try to back it up some. So we're going to look at Genesis 6, 1 and 2. Genesis 6, 1 and 2. And then we're going to kind of get into what's going on now that actually compares us with the days of Noah. And I'm thinking here, based on some things that was in my Ruach, I was thinking about the ark and thinking about the flesh and everything that was happening. It was the actual deeds of the flesh that actually caused, the world to begin to be destroyed at that point before the Most High saw favor and grace in Noah and began to save him. And it's like him and his family, I think it was about 8 souls that talked about being saved except for the animals. But you look at the idea of what caused it to get to that point. I mean, it was just a lot of corruption, a lot of chaos, a lot of wickedness. And the Most High got to a point where he was just not wanting to, let it go on that way. People were just acting all kind of ways. They was like not even concerned about anything but what they wanted to take pleasure in. They were just actually operating in the flesh. And so we're going to look at this chapter 6, verse 1 and 2 first, and we'll kind of go from there. Stop periodically.
And it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of Elohim saw the daughters of men, that they were fair, and they took them women of all which they chose.
Okay, now, so we don't have to turn there, but Jude is only one chapter. So in 1 and 6, it talks about the angels that left their heavenly estate, and they actually are locked up now in a place of dense darkness. I think it's Taurus, something like that, paraphrasing it, where they're at, waiting to be judged. And so we're looking at this. If this caused the angels want to leave their heavenly estate just so they can be a part of something that they didn't have no business being a part of, and we look at them, they're supposed to be messengers. They're supposed to be helpers for us. They're not supposed to be wanting to be us. And so the angels said, hey, look, we want to take a part of this too. All this fleshly activity going on, we want to also be in the flesh. And that's the thing, the angels left from the form of Ruach to get into the flesh. And then here we get the Nephilim that's being created. So just how much trouble we have if we try to walk in the flesh. And so we walk in the Ruach, we won't fulfill the lust of the flesh. But that's what was going on. So that it was so much chaos going on, so the angels wanted to take part in it. I mean, we saw what enticed them when they saw the women now, but the thing is, the angels also came and they wanted to be a part of everything else that was going on, because they had to have been watching it. They didn't just see that on. That's what made them come. But they knew that once they got there, they was going to be, in activity, as an actual human being. But they actually chose to lower where they was to come here. And it's like we're trying to get where they were at, and they wanted to lower that particular status. So we'll look at 3, Genesis chapter 3. It won't be before you long, but it's just somehow we got to look at what was going on. Why did the Most High destroy this? We're going to do Genesis verse 3, not chapter 3.
Genesis 6, verse 3. And Yahuwah said, my Ruach shall not always strive with man, but that he also is flesh, yet his days shall be 120 years. So
it says, yet that he also is flesh. So this letting you know that the Most High didn't have no pleasure in the flesh. That's the thing. So for him to do this, he said that he also is flesh. And so this was the problem right here. This was it was flesh that actually caused all this chaos. And so since they wanted to walk in the flesh, the Most High, he had provisions down the line. But the point was, we know that as we get to Enoch, and then we know Noah, he wasn't operating in the flesh because he had favor in the sight of Yah. But they were operating in the flesh because they was turned into the thing that they wanted to be turned into, not into the thing that the Most High. And I'm looking at, it's coming up in my rubric. I think it's in Corinthians where it talks about, Romans 1, where it talks about professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. You know what I'm saying? Say when they knew Yah, they did not glorify him as Yah. And they actually wanted to serve the creature more than the creator, and they began to create of creeping things, and that they wanted to serve idols rather than serve the Most High. And they said they was thinking that they were wise, but they were fools. It's the same thing now. People think that they're wise, and the more and more we get further into time, the more they come out with different stuff, different religions. But what's been hit my ruach here lately is when I transferred from the truth, when I transferred from saying I was a Christian into the walk, what we call this the truth, I think about back when I hardly knew a whole lot about even the word. When I began to first, get saved, it was the relationship that actually caused me to draw nigh to the Most High. Not that we do away with the word, but when they take the Bible away and you don't have that relationship with Yah, what are you going to do at that particular point in time? Because we got to look at the whole thing. There are things you're going to have to start doing your own research, and I'm not going to say anything to shake anybody's faith in that, but I will say that Bible means books. And I will say that we have the 66, but there is more. But at the same time, you have to look at what caused the fall of man. What was it? What was it that? And we ain't just dealing with Eve, we're dealing with Adam and Eve, because he did it too. And it says that the Most High was with them, and they began to hear the voice of Yah walking through the cool, but they began to make the choice to take of this tree of knowledge of good and evil. They traded knowledge for a relationship. You know what I'm saying? That's what they did. And so the Most High was already in relationship with them, but they wanted to know more. And so since they wanted to know more, this is the thing. That's why I say, if they profess themselves to be wise, they became fools. That's the thing. So it's like they wanted to get that wisdom, but it's like, that's why we hear all this, you see the hotel brothers and you see all this stuff people are saying, hey, we got this and we got that. Now we have to study to show our self-approval. We have to realize that everything must be governed by the Ruach HaKodesh. We don't just get carried away into things, but at the same time, if you don't have a relationship with Yah, you're going to be carried away anyway. And going back to that, when I say that, when I first got saved, I remember at the time, just the idea of knowing that, the Most High was real and that I was actually drawing nigh to him with a pure heart. I didn't know much word at that time, but I do remember being out in the parking lot in the middle of nowhere. And I remember the Ruach HaKodesh. I remember I was praying in the Ruach HaKodesh out in the middle of nowhere in an actual, like a field of an actual apartment complex. It just let loose. We'll get into that later, how when you're baptized the right way, when they was not baptized the right way, it say that the Ruach HaKodesh had not fell upon them yet. And once they got baptized in Yahushua Mashiach, these scriptures show you, say at that point, the Ruach HaKodesh began to fall upon them, and they say they spoke in tongues at that point. Now, this don't have nothing to do with, there are different levels. You have the unknown tongue, you have the other tongue, you have the interpretation of tongue, but you have the power of Yah, which comes when you get baptized in Yahushua HaMashiach, that gives you that your heavenly language, like they say, like it said in Jude, praying in your utmost holy faith in the Ruach HaKodesh. That's the thing. So that's where you have that at. But it just means there's an order that you do it in, but it don't mean that you're not endowed with that power when the time comes. And this is being baptized with the fire right then. This is not talking about just, carnally gaining knowledge. Like you have the Muslim, they have knowledge. Those that are actually on the street corner preaching, saying that the Hebrew life, they have knowledge. It's a whole lot of knowledge. And when you get all that knowledge, you don't know the Most High, it doesn't help you. The only thing it does is puff you up. It brings pride. And it's not saying you're not supposed to have it, but I'm saying that you don't want to pick knowledge over the relationship if you have the basics down pat. If you have the basics down pat, you want to make sure that you have that relationship with Yah. Because I built a relationship with him right on, hands on, right then, automatically. Nobody was around automatically. It just took off inside of me. It was just bubbling up the Ruach HaKodesh. I just began to pray in it right there. And this isn't talked about a lot because everybody want to make things either too deep, else they want to make it where nothing else matters no more, where you forget it all. But we can't take these scriptures out. We have to deal with these scriptures and quit just saying, okay, look, I'm just going to keep doing the status quo, what everybody else is doing. In order for you to get right with the Most High, you have to accept what's going on. And here we have to accept the fact that it was because they was in the flesh that it caused them to actually fall. It caused the flood to come because the Most High saw that they was operating in wickedness. And that's what the flesh comes with. It didn't come with anything else. And so we're gonna look at the next one. I think we're going to 4, 6 and 4.
Genesis 6 and 4. There were Nephilim in the earth in those days, who also gathered afterward, when the sons of Elohim came in unto the daughters of men, and they bore children unto them. The same became warriors and tyrants, which were from everlasting mortal men of the name.
Okay, so basically what they were, old men, basically, in Ruach, they were actually warriors, skilled fighters, and they were tyrants, oppressors. Pretty much, they were oppressors, and they was actually ruling at this point. And it was just a lot of domination going on, and they was actually ruling the people at that point in time. I mean, it was just chaos. Everything was out of order. How Noah stayed away from all this, it was just the grace of Yah, I guess. But this was all going on at the point in time prior to Yah coming to Noah, and it continued on until the flood came. And this is the thing. So now, if you really do a deeper study, Nephilim was there then and after. You have to get your own understanding on how you really figure it out, but it's there. Like it didn't just fade away, because we see now when you get the real meaning that how it'll be as the days of Noah, you're going to see the things that were going on then. Some of those similar things are going on now, not just a similarity, but some of the exact things, the exact same things are going on now. And so we know Nephilim are the giants, the hybrids that were created when the angels came together with the women. That's what came. And so let's look at the next one, 5.
And Yahuwah saw the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually. Okay,
and so it's the thing. So wickedness, that's what it was. So we're dealing with the works of the flesh. Let's go to Matthew 24 and 37 to try to piggyback with lamb back off this a little bit. Matthew 24 and 37. And so we're dealing with the flesh. We're dealing with the idea of if you walk in the Ruach, you won't fulfill the lust of the flesh. And if you're trying to just do everything carnal all the time, then you're gonna find yourself in trouble, because it's like we have to get back to the basic thing. We have to figure out what happened between the time of when Noah comes back on the scene all the way until the time of Yahushua HaMashiach. Like, what was the break? That was, at some point, that was a breaking point where Yah was a lot more closer to the people. You know what I'm saying? And they began to be farther away because of the corruption, and people began to accept all kind of wicked knowledge and all this extra information that they accept that began to draw them away from Yah, because they weren't trying to build no relationship with Yah. It's like when we were talking, me and Mahisha was talking on the way here, and I was mentioning a lot of people are pretty much just caught up into wanting to hear something supernatural outside from the word. It's like they're looking for, you notice most of the people that step up that are saying there's something else, that are saying that, hey, look, now this is the way, follow me. They're offering something that, that every other, I would say, religion or church is not offering. They're saying, hey, look, this is the way, follow this, we found something new here. And, this is what you need to be doing. But it's nothing new. This is why you have to look at it. That's why he say don't preach anything different. The power is in the gospel. The power is in the gospel of Yahushua Mashiach. That has to be the foundation. Everything else outside of that, you build from that point, but it has to be the foundation. If you're trying to leave out Yahushua Mashiach and look at him as just being just a mere somebody that came as a prophet, then you're not going to get any power. So there's no sense of even saying that you're even in the walk if you're not, acknowledging Yahushua Mashiach. So we're going to look at Matthew 24:37.
Verse 37.
Yeah, starting at 37.
But as the days of Noah were, so shall also the coming of the Son of Adam be.
It says the days of Noah, so should the coming of the Son of Adam be. Go ahead.
For as in the days that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered into the ark. They knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also the coming of the Son of Adam be.
Now let me show you something here. I just wanted to look at the nugget here. Now this said that's the days of Noah. You got these people out here that are radical about the rapture and all this, trying to use this. This saying taken away is bad. When you read this, it's saying when you're taken away here, it's bad. Like those that were taken away by that flood, they didn't want to get taken away at that point. They were drowning. And so therefore, we don't equate that to that, because when you start looking up the beginning of this, when you get to verse 29, when you go a little further, it tells you that, immediately after the tribulation, these things start happening. So this started happening after the tribulation. Like there's no escaping anything that's going wrong, anything. Remember, Noah didn't escape anything. There was provision made for him while the thing was going on. Chaos was going on and Noah was saved. The ark right now is the Ruach HaKodesh. You know what I'm saying? The ark right now is walking in the Ruach HaKodesh. That way you won't fulfill any lust of the flesh. And it's not just about the lust of the flesh, it's about the destruction that has come by the lust of the flesh of man that has come upon the face of this earth. All this chaos and stuff is coming now because of the evil heart of man and what they've done and the agendas that they've drummed up and all these concoctions they put together. From the medicine on down to everything they're doing with the atmosphere and everything is what they have done. And the only way you can be saved at this point from that wrath is not just confessing Yahushua Mashiach. It's going to be actually walking in the Ruach HaKodesh. You have to be able to hear and walk in the Ruach HaKodesh where you can hear which way to move, what to do, and what route to take. Because at this point in time now, it's getting to the point where it's like the axe is laid at the root, where it's like everybody that's not grounded real good going to be chopped up. And so it's like you have to make sure that you're in a position where when the actual flood do come, which is everything that's happening now, that you're not going to get washed away. You have to get inside that ark of the Ruach right now. That's what you have to get at right now. Those that say for to make it phrase better, just a spiritual ark basically. You're going to have to get inside that ark where you can actually be set up where when the times of trouble come, you're not running from anything. Right. This is the thing, the Most High gives you time to endure and gives you the energy and the ability to endure. You don't have to, there's nothing to escape or run from. What are you running from? Like, what are we doing now? It's like, say they became wise in their own understanding. You can't say that Yah, and then now you're running from something. It's like we can't go run from something. Like you're running from, or you actually folded. Like when you say, hey, look, I'm gonna let them, violate my body with this shot or whatever like that, you're folded. You're saying, okay, I accept this because I gotta quote unquote do what I got to do. You don't have to do what you gotta do. All you gotta do is be in the Ruach HaKodesh. That's it. You need to make sure that you're operating in the Ruach. And you can say Ruach, but we know we're talking about the Ruach of Yah. Your Ruach. You have to make sure that you're in the things of the spirit world, not in the things of carnality. And when you're operating and moving like that, you're not going to be led to anything that's going to cause problems. You're going to be in a knowing. You're going to be in a sense of knowing, because everything didn't get dumbed down until we have the situation going on where relationship was traded in for the knowledge. That's why they wanted to eat that tree of knowledge of good and evil. So it's like, okay, look, I was walking with you. Everything was fine. Like they didn't have, everything was easy. It's like when you translate what was going on in the garden, it's just like Yahushua Mashiach said and say, come unto me, all you that are burdened and heavy laden with sin, and I'll give you rest for your soul. That's it. And so this is the thing. He said, for my yoke is easy, my burden is light. And so it's the same thing happened then. They didn't have anything heavy upon them. It wasn't until the fall when it began to be where man now has to make money and begin to eat from the sweat of his brow and begin to work, begin to try to till the ground, and the ground began to be hard, and it was cursed at that time where it was more difficult, where it had to be broke up. That was nothing they had to do into it. They didn't have to go, it's a curse, the fact that you got to go till and break up, and it's a tussle. To get this, the planting, it's a work, it's a job. You have to make sure you're in the right season where you're at on the globe, wherever you're at on the map. You got to make sure that you're planting the right thing for the right time. It's a big job. They weren't worrying about none of it. It was like being in a tropical forest where they was at. Everything was just given to them. They didn't have to worry about it. He said, this is one thing that you don't need to worry about. And it's like they was concerned about knowing more. So it's like you need to know what you need to know, but sometimes some more will get you in trouble if it's going to come from the dark side. This is why we have to be careful, like what knowledge are we accepting and what are we receiving? Right. Because at this time, say professing themselves to be wise, they became fools. Right. That's what it was. So they wasn't wise. They were just wise in their own eyes. They had some knowledge, but the knowledge was earthly knowledge. It was carnal knowledge. It wasn't knowledge in the Ruach. So it's like, in the Ruach HaKodesh, I would say, because that knowledge is spiritual, but it's wicked. I mean, like that. So you want to add something to it? You know, say anything? Well, all right. So basically, getting at that, where did we stop at? We stopped at 39. Okay, so let's look at the next one. We stopped at on Genesis down. Matter of fact, let's go to Timothy first. I'm gonna tie this in. 2 Timothy 3, and this still dealing with what was going on in the flesh. 2 Timothy 3, 1 through 6. We're still dealing with the flesh. Remember, it was the flesh. That was the reason. That was a carnal thing for them to want to get that knowledge. But they didn't need that knowledge. And there was a carnal thing that was going on when Yah saw how wicked the earth was. And he said, Noah, I found favor. And just because of the association with Noah, this is why his sons and their wives got saved. We never talked about finding favor with them like that. Not saying that anything different, but they were connected, kind of like Lot connected to Abraham, getting saved from Sodom and Gomorrah. But it didn't say Lot was right with the Most High, because he was right in the midst of the wickedness. Right. They had to go in there and pretty much pry Lot from out of that. I mean, it's like that. Lot didn't come out till the angels came to destroy the place. And this is what's going on now. A lot of people won't listen until it's getting ready to get to the end, and then they'll be scrambling, rushing and running, trying to hurry up and get situated, but it'll be too late. A lot of them you won't be able to grab. This is the thing. You have to stay focused. And like I say, everybody, loved ones and ones that you have that's around you, they just won't get it. Some of them are not going to want to get it. And this is the thing, you have to be willing to accept the fact that they don't want it. You know what I'm saying? Some of them just don't want it. Some people think a lot of this is foolish when it comes to being in the Ruach HaKodesh and begin to know Yah for who he is. And another thing, just off the record, this is not some glorified form of Christianity. Now, I'm rolling with which way the Ruach HaKodesh leads us, and it's going to never venture away from Yahushua Mashiach being the actual Savior. That's the thing. So, but I will tell you one thing, religion as we knew it needs to be towed out, because that's what's causing the division amongst the people trying to figure out what religion they need to be a part of. Like that's no religion is going to save you. No type of form and fashion is going to save you. At this point in time, we're getting to the point where, it's kind of mirroring what was going on with Joel when they began to be in the upper room in the book of Acts, and Peter had to tell them, these men are not drunk, but this is that. This is that the prophet Joel spoke of when there was going to be a lot of prophesying, a lot of dreaming of dreams, a lot of things going on that's of the Ruach HaKodesh. So when the Spirit fell down upon them, when the day of Pentecost had fully came, that's what happened. It was a different thing. They weren't used to that. They weren't used to seeing different people being able to receive. And this is what has to happen. We need to know who we are, but at the same time, we don't need to get focused on trying to be in some type of formality or anything like that, worried about what was going on inside the four walls. He taking me from out of the four walls. So I'm not looking at trying to be inside nowhere where it's like there's some system set up where you say, okay, this is that, and the earth is here, all that stuff. Oh, we don't even have time for that right now. I mean, like this half that stuff ain't even in the scripts. I mean, like that, when you look at it, there are helps and stuff, but the way they have designed it, it's a sense of abundance where people are competing with inside of that and outside of that, comparing one to another. And in the inside, those that are doing it are comparing themselves to each other while the enemy is wreaking havoc. And the problem is bigger. It's not about what religion you're in. It's none of that stuff. It's not about, it got down to the why now to, it's about having a personal relationship where you have to know for a fact that you know the Most High through the Ruach HaKodesh. And if you don't, you're in trouble. It's about what this whole foundation is about deliverance. This is what this is about. This isn't about trying to anything. It's about being delivered. It's going to boil down to casting out devils. It's going to boil down to being able to discern ruachs, different ones, foul ruachs that are inside of people that's been bound for years. This is what I want to do, see the captives get set free, not about what religion or who is right or who said is this name is that name. Now, once he showed me what it was, we're rolling with it, because when it all boils down, demons don't care about who you calling on and none of that. They care about whether or not you really are saying that you are the actual one that's under Yahushua Mashiach. Whatever somebody say, oh, it's this, is that, it's not going to even matter, because they're going to attack you no matter what you're saying, because it's not about, things doesn't get erased. Generational curses doesn't get erased when you say you got saved. You get baptized, you can be speaking all kinds of tongues you want to speak in, till you denounce certain things that you've been involved in. It doesn't go away. If that's the case, like I said one time, get saved should erase all debt. Everything is, you don't owe nothing no more. It's all gone. It doesn't work that way. So if it doesn't work that way, it doesn't work that way when you make covenants and when you do certain things. So we have to be realistic about it. It's going to all boil down to being delivered. You can't even do the work of the Most High. You're still bound by certain ruachs. You still bound by certain attitudes. You don't know how to deal with certain people. You got to learn how to deal with certain different individuals. You know what I'm saying? If you can't deal with them on a level where it's okay to check folks, if they have to be checked in a certain manner, we ain't dealing with, once again, religion or Christianity, how I taught you, everybody be nice, a doormat, none of that. But once you do it, make sure it doesn't make you fall from grace. Make sure that you can do it and still be able to be in character afterwards. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like a anger of Yah, in a sense, without making sure you're not carried away to the point where it didn't change your whole character to now it didn't spill over into every other aspect of your life. You can't let it be like that. It has to be left where it's at once you check the situation. And if it can't be like that, then it's another trick with the enemy and say, okay, they haven't even grew up yet. They're still operating on a level of milk. You got to operate on a level of meat, where when you see things, you can be able to address these things. You can be able to be real with yourself, look yourself in the mirror and say, I need help. And so you deal with it. If you see something you're dealing with, don't just let it have you bound. Right. Deal with it. If it's something that you know you have going on, fight it. It's a wrestle. It's a struggle. We say we wrestle not. We have to remember that's something that should be a foundation. It's a wrestle every day. It's a fight every day. Once you wake up that morning, it's like, if you're really close to the Most High, demons will say, oh, he woke. Let's start the tricks and schemes. I mean, it's starting right then. When you open your eyes, it's happening while you're sleeping. When you open your eyes, you'll awake to this world. That's why when you open your eyes, the first thing you need to do is acknowledge the Most High for even waking you up. But once you enter this arena, when you open to this real world, right then and now, the attacks are happening. Outside, you don't know what's going on. You get a call. Oh, this happens. There's something that's trying to seek it, penetrate and get you in the flesh. That's what it's trying to do. Trying to get you in the flesh. Don't let it get you in the flesh. And if it does, don't let it keep you in the flesh. And this is the thing. This whole problem was about the flesh. And that's the reason why he wanted to destroy them at that point, because of the flesh and the sons and everybody that would say, only because they were connected to the right person. That was it. That's the reason why they got able to be, not washed away. I didn't talk so much. We 2 Timothy 3:1-6. And it's been heavy on me about just making sure that, tear down those religious walls. Yah has an order. Hasatan has an order. And he sees the order of Yah. If he sees you out of order, that's when he attacks. So you know that there's an order, but at the same time, the order is not religion. The order is the relationship with Yah and following and playing your part in the area that he got you to be, that you're supposed to be playing. So if you call to a certain order or whatever it is, that's the order you need to be representing and doing it to the fullest, whatever it is. Because like I say, when we boil all this down, many different members to one body. It's like, so we know what it says, you know what I'm saying? That, just paraphrasing, the hand, the eye, ain't no sense of competing against each other because you need it. If you get a headache, it affects your whole body like that. So it's like, so we have to look at this for what it's worth. We respect certain orders, but at the same time, every order is important. Every person is important. Everything matters. Everybody matters in order to get the job done. Because if there's division between husband and wife, if there's division between, the coachee and whatever like that, brothers, having problems, between each other, can't come on the same page with knowledge. You got to go back to a relationship. Okay, we can still have a relationship with one another. And as long as we have the foundation that, we both believe that we're under Yahushua Mashiach, And if you don't believe that, then, hey, look, I don't really know what we're doing unless I'm trying to convert you to believe that, because that's what I believe now. At that point, I'm led by the Ruach HaKodesh on how I'm going to deal with you to get you converted. That's what it's about. It's not about me just hanging out with you. That we have to stop that. Evil communication corrupt good manners. And so we have to make sure that if we're hanging out, there has to be a focus to draw them in. Not to you to get drawn in. Your focus has to be to draw them in. You have to make sure that the Ruach HaKodesh is leading you, not your flesh. This goes back to loved one. Don't fall, because the enemy is going to use them to actually cause you, because that's where your weak spot going to be at, because you're thinking, there's no Captain Savings here. I mean, you got to do what the Most High is saying, because if you do, that's where the enemy is going to trick you, saying, okay, look, I know I can do this. They know you by the flesh. They don't know you by the Ruach HaKodesh. That's the thing. You think that relationship by the flesh is good enough. That's why they fight you, because they ain't really in that. They're not in the Ruach like that. They just know you, the carnal you. But the thing is, you have to get them to know you through the Ruach. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. And so once they know you that, and that's when it begin to be a bond that can't be broken, because at that point it's going to be respected more. But right now, as we see in the flesh doesn't have any love for flesh. It's just that. It's an animal. It goes back to evolution. It goes back to evolution. If they could get you to think that you come from a big bang and a monkey or whatever like that, then it's easy for you to disrespect your fellow sister, brother, because you're thinking I'm nothing, but I came out of a big bang and I'm an animal anyway, so I can treat you like an animal. That's the thing. And if you're thinking that way, then that way is the way that you'll be corrupted, because it's like you're not going to have any type of reverence or any type of respect for one another, because you're thinking, okay, look, it's little man versus big man. I'm gonna crush you before you crush me. And with that type of attitude, we're not gonna get anything done, because that's what House of Time wants us to be divided. And so it's like united we stand, divided we fall. It's the same thing. A kingdom that's divided against itself won't stand. So you ain't gonna be able to operate like that. So you can go 2 Timothy 3, 1 through 6.
2 Timothy chapter 3, begin at verse 1.
Yeah.
This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come.
Okay. So basically, it say in the last days perilous times should come. This is the last days. It should be just like it is in the days of Noah. This is what we have going on now. The reason why I say this is because look what's going on. If you look back and go back, for those that are able to 25 years ago or 20 years ago, you see a different scene. We still see it getting worse, but now it got bad. It got to the point now where you can't even voice your opinion on those that are saying they want to be of the same gender in marriage. You can't say anything out of the way. There used to be a point where they was embarrassed to even come around or say anything. A whole lot of stuff has changed now. It's like the love of many has really waxed cold. You see a whole lot of father against sons and mother against daughter. You see a lot of confusion. The people being killed by their parents and vice versa. They're killing the parents. It's like there's hardly no respect now at this point. Look at the generation. Look at a generation where you can remember having a grandma, a great grandma, and then now look at these great grandmas and grandmas now, and look at how it has been dumbed down. They don't even have a track of the real genealogy, what they'll trace back from some of them, and it got so far down the line, so it's like it's just a bunch of scattered seeds. And it's like it's no real unity amongst the families now. It's like there's no actual bond now. It's like everybody has a selfish agenda at this point in time. And it happens when you see that parent die and it's time to divide the stuff of the will. For the last few generations, it's been a fallout at the will, at who gonna leave me what. Mama left me this, or dad said I can have this, and it's a fight between the stuff because they never had any reverence one for another. They just want to devour what they can devour. They just want to take. So they're not trying to give anything. They just want to take. And so this we have now in the last days, the love of many has waxed cold. It's waxed cold already now. It's like there's no love like that. So I can't stress this even more how we don't ignore anything that's going on in the world, but we do need to ignore any type of organized religion that's been done to control you, because that's not going to get anybody. Because he's been dealing with me for a minute here about out of the 4 walls is where I've been called. Like, don't get me wrong, there may be some setups here and now where you can be able to come together, but it's supposed to be done in a manner of unity. It's not supposed to be set up where, when we see these things that are set up, there was ones getting ordained, but I don't recall anything where it was somebody just representing one person. You know what I'm saying? Like that. Like, well, just always just this one particular individual without somebody else being able to be involved with what's going on. Like, it had to be an actual what they would call the fivefold ministry. It doesn't say that, but it has to be different gifts operating together like that. And we see this in some places, but at the same time, it's not really there most of the time because they're not leaning on the Ruach HaKodesh. It still boils back down to a carnal situation where there's a more reverence to the person than it is to Yah. And it's like the slave mentality going on, the slave master versus the slave. This has to stop. It's different when you have different ones set up and they're operating through the Ruach HaKodesh and they're ordained set up to operate. But usually that whole setup, when you see it in religion, is being controlled by something similar that's mirroring a slave master. And they're ignoring what the Ruach HaKodesh is saying do, yet the people are straining, trying to operate and ignoring everything else and just under the umbrella of this tyrant, pretty much. So we can't have that. We have to have it set up where if there is someone that's saying, okay, I'm still here inside the building or whatever, that's fine, but it doesn't need to be set up like slave versus slave master. It needs to be, if you're going to be inside of that, it needs to be done like the word says do it. It needs to be certain one and certain gifts operate. And if they're not operating, then something is missing because we don't get to a few scriptures where once a lot of them waited on the apostle Paul to come, that he may impart some gift into them. You don't have it, then that means you didn't went ahead of your time. If you can't impart something to somebody, if you can't actually give them something that the Most High done gave you, spirits transfer, ruach transfer. And so let's be clear with that. The evil ruach transfer and just show us the Ruach HaKodesh, it transfers. That's the thing. And we have scripture and book on that, and chapter on that. It's not just like we have to get out of anything we didn't know and anything we thought we knew. We had to go back and double check that if it's not lining up. We can't ignore things and just keep doing church or doing religion. It has to be action. And the only way you're going to be able to take action is with the truth. And the word says you'll know the truth and the truth will make you free. And if you're just operating off of things, form and fashions, then you're not going to get anything done. And so at this particular time, I would say those that are actually inside the building, make sure that the gifts are being used. The walk doesn't make the gift disappear. This truth wind doesn't make the gift disappear. The Ruach HaKodesh is supposed to still be in operation. This is why we'll get into when Paul began to ask them have they received the Ruach since they first believed. They said, we didn't even know it was a Ruach. Right. When he baptized and it came up, at that point, they began to speak in tongues. Before that John Baptist, now I see a lot of them doing it didn't work. So it matters like that. You know, I'm not just going to fellowship with anybody and go alone with anything just to get along. That's wasting time. Like, we don't really have time to wait. The party is over. Like that, the party is over. It's time to get serious now. It's time out for just running around, hanging out. We got to have a focus. There needs to be some type of end goal to why we hanging together. Okay, we're getting to know each other. What you believe? Okay, yeah, what you believe? Outside of just the skin tone, what is this that we're going to do for the Most High? How are we going to make a mighty move of Yah? And this is the thing. So we only going to do that in the Ruach. We're not going to do that carnal. Kicking it ain't going to do that like that. So it's a time for everything, but it can't all be just kicking it and having fun.
Next. All right, so 2 Timothy 3, verse 2. For men should be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, and unholy, without natural affection, truth breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of Elohim.
Now this is the part right here. Go ahead.
Having a form of holiness, but denying the power thereof, from such turn away.
And I say having a form of holiness, but denying the power thereof, from such turn away. And so they're denying the power thereof. Those that want to say that the Ruach HaKodesh is not powerful anymore, that it's just for back in Paul them time, it's turn away. Because it is the same. It's nothing different. Like he told me, like Peter said, this is that of the prophet Joel. This is that. When he said your sons and daughters should prophesy. This is it. And so this is where we're at right now. It's not, it's nothing different. This was after Yahushua HaMashiach. This is prior. Yahushua HaMashiach had to leave in order for that gift to come. And so he said, unless I go, I can't send the comfort. And so when I leave, then I'll send you a comfort that'll lead you and guide you into all truth. And this is what we have now. He's the spirit of truth. And so go ahead.
Last verse 6. For of this sort are they which creep into houses and lead captive silly women laden with sins, led away with diverse lusts. Ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth.
That's it. And that's the thing, ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. And it leads people away because of the fact that it's in the flesh. It's not in the actual, in the Ruach. And this we have to look at. I went there just to show that, just to get a little idea of what was going on during that time, which you have the power, then you don't have to worry about that. But a lot of them didn't have that. They were just looking for some different information. What did they say they began to lead them away. And whoever it is that they're leading away, man or woman at this time, still is in the flesh. And if you have someone come to you with some information that can't be tested and tried by some things, don't get me wrong, now there are some books that miss it, but we do know that the foundation is the gospel of Yahushua HaMashiach. And that has to be the foundation of whatever it is that's going on. If that's not the foundation, it's a false doctrine. And so let's look at Acts chapter 1, verse 8. Acts chapter 1, verse 8. 15, yeah, Acts chapter 1, verse 8. Okay. I'm ready.
But you shall receive power after that, the Ruach HaKodesh is come upon you. And you shall be witnesses unto me both in Jerusalem, in all in your hood, in Judah. Wait.
And that's it. That's the part that I was trying to get. I know that's the whole verse. But the point we're looking at is you should receive power. It's saying you should receive power after that the Ruach HaKodesh has come upon you. That's the thing. So if you don't have any power of some sort, then the Ruach HaKodesh ain't come upon you. That's the thing. So we have to have some type of evidence. And this is the part that's being left out, like it's being ignored, as if, like, what are we doing? Like, I mean, like if people are not saved or they have not been baptized in Yahushua HaMashiach, they need to get it so they can get the power. So if you don't have the power, if you don't have nothing you can do, if you can't get a breakthrough, some type of prayer through or something that you can show that you got some evidence of having the Ruach HaKodesh, then what are you here for? Like, what are you actually saying you're saved for? That's what I'm saying. Outside of that, it has to be more to it than going to church. It has to be more to it than gathering together saying this is the Shabbat and Shalom. That's the basis of what we're supposed to be doing anyway. What are the ingredients? The ingredient is the power. The ingredient is some type of evidence where you can get results. If you can't get no results, then something is wrong. It's like you have to check your relationship with the Most High. This is when we go back to relationship. You can learn this from the beginning to the end and all the books and know them all in your head and don't have the Ruach HaKodesh. That's the thing. Like I say, you know that Yah is one. Devils know it also and tremble. So knowledge alone is not enough. You have to have the basic information and still need knowledge to still show yourself approved unto Yah. A workman need not be ashamed. If you're not working and doing anything that's actually got something to do with Yah, then you just actually just learned a lot of information and it's not being utilized. And so basically you got to have that power. And let's go to I'll write the rest of them down. Let's go to Acts chapter 8, where we're gonna go. I think this is pretty much wrapping up. Acts chapter 8, starting at the 14th verse. We're gonna do Acts 8, 14 through 17. This is something we need to pay attention to, getting to Acts 8, 14 through 17, because the power is the part that's missing. There has to be some form of power. It's like we can't just have church. We can't just say Shabbat Shalom or Shalom and, happy Shabbat. All that stuff is fine. That's no more than back in church when they were saying Merry Christmas if you ain't got no power. Like that, I mean, like you got to have some form of power. Like it's not enough to just say that you believe him. Like it say the devil believe him and he trembles. So after you believe him, then what? That's the thing. What if somebody in your a loved one or somebody that's real close to you in your four corners in your wall is dying? Can you get a breakthrough to the Most High to save them? Can you actually begin to lay hands on that person? Can you pray on behalf of them and see that the Most High hand turn? Can you see the hand of Yah turn? If you can't, then it's an issue. That's the thing, because that's the meat. That's our meat. That's the bread. He said the bread is for the children. We are the children. And so let's get to Acts. So Acts 8, 14 through 17 is going to prove that you got to be baptized in Yahushua HaMashiach. And Peter already said it in I think Acts 2, when he got down to about that 37 verse, he say, from henceforth baptize every man in the name of Yahushua Mashiach. It wasn't John's baptism. You can't just know John's baptism. We were just talking about Priscilla and Aquila, how they took Apollos to the side, how he only knew the baptism of John. That's it. And they had to explain and expound upon him a more excellent way about Yahushua Mashiach. If it was not a problem, they wouldn't have had to expound on to Apollos. After that, we see Apollos goes on to do great things with Paul. He said, who am I? Who is Apollos? He said, one plant, another water, but it's Yah that give the increase. He said, I have planted Apollos water, but it's Yah that give the increase. But prior to that, Apollos was still loving the Most High, but he only knew about John. And it took Priscilla and Aquila to explain and expound a more excellent way to him, which was Yahushua Mashiach. And at that point, he started being used with Paul. But he wasn't being used with Paul when he was just dealing with John's and his disciples in the baptism of John. He had to be converted to a better understanding. That's the same thing. So you know different than somebody that's in the Muslim world. If you're saying that, Islam, if you're saying that you don't have the power, you don't believe the power is real, like what are you denying? They say they confessing him, but they denying the power. So it's like, what are you saying if you denying that the power is real? Like, you have to look at this. So everything does matter. It does matter which way you're baptized. You don't just go down according to the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, like they were saying in church. That's not how it works. You have to acknowledge the fact that the Son has came and you're going down in him and you're coming back up in him, putting on the body of him, and you're a new creature. And the old man is gone. You're not dealing with it based on just repentance. What John was saying, it's not dealing with that no more. Now you're dealing with fire in the Ruach HaKodesh, which brings you power. Other than that, he died in vain and he never rose. And he never went and took the keys of death and the grave and the victory and everything from the devil. So other than that, he might well have never went down or went back up. So he went down, did the work. He went back up, did the work. The first work started on the state. And so all that is pointless if you're not believing that there's no power. We're not talking about religion, we're talking about power. And that's the thing. So you have to look at where is the power, where's the proof? Well, the proof is going to be in the pudding because time is going to get hard. And the proof is going to be those that are out here running around begging, scraping, and scratching versus where the Most High got you set up where it's no big deal, where you actually set up where when the times get rough, you actually be sustained because gas may go to $12 a gallon. Then what? Like that. So it's like, we have to look and see, what are we going to do then when a loaf of bread is $20? This is just paraphrasing. We don't know how high it's going to get. So, so we're going to look at Acts chapter 8, verses 14 through 17. Yeah.
Acts 18, Acts 8, chapter 8, verse 14. Now when the apostles which were at Jerusalem heard that Samaria had received the word of Elohim, they sent unto Kepha and Euhochanan.
John and Peter and John.
Who, when they were come down, prayed for them that they might receive the Ruach HaKodesh.
Now, see what it says. It says, pray for them that they may receive the Ruach HaKodesh. The prayer is the work because they know when they had to pray because when they receive it, it's going to be power with it. You don't need to pray for somebody just to be, baptized, whatever like that. They just do that. That's a carnal work. But they prayed that they may receive the Ruach HaKodesh. Go ahead.
16. For as yet he was fallen upon none of them. Only they were baptized in the name of Adonai Yahushua. Then they laid their hands on them and they received the Ruach HaKodesh.
See that? And say, go ahead. So 18, go and do that.
And when Simeon saw that through the laying on of the apostles' hands, the Ruach HaKodesh was given, he offered them money. This is the thing. We're just going to stop there, even though that's coming there. This is the same thing. So he saw it was real. So he offered them money. I think this is Simon the Sorcerer, if I'm not mistaken, they get ready to get to. So he wanted to buy. And that's the same thing they're doing now. They're trying to sell gifts in the church. Okay, I got so many people, the Most High they say God in the church world. They say, I need to come up here, 20 people and lay this much money on the altar and you're going to get this blessing. What am I buying a blessing for? I mean, like that, blessing's supposed to be free. I mean, like that. Now, if I'm giving you something, I'm giving you something out of my heart, but it's not like that. When we look at this setup, we don't take away the idea that when Paul in the beginning said, we gave you our spiritual thing, it's not wrong that we receive your carnal thing. But they're not giving you no spiritual thing. They're promising you, they're giving you a dream. They're selling you a dream, they're running game.
when they say, come lay this money on the altar and I'll give you this, half of them never even get that because it's something that they're telling you that's mental, that's supernatural. You don't get anything right then. This was given without money right away. You didn't have to worry about it, like telling me that God is going to bless me with a car, a husband, a wife. I'm going to run into $1 million or somebody's going to put $10,000 in my bank account if I give you 1,000. That's a game. This, they had to give nothing. All they had to do was receive this. They prayed first, they laid hands on them, and they received at that point. And that's it. And so it was never no situation where you have to worry about, giving somebody something to receive something. It's not supposed to be that exchange like that. When you give somebody something, it's because you want to give it to them. You want to donate, or you want to begin to, provide them with something and say, okay, look, I want you to have this, appreciate it. But if you're looking for something in return based upon this carnal person, you already started off wrong anyway. That's it. Now, whether you get it or not, that's based on what you believe. But we know that the pattern is you can't buy the Ruach HaKodesh. You can't buy it. It's not for sale. That's the thing. So your gift shouldn't be for sale. You shouldn't be letting nobody pimp you. Or you shouldn't be pimping people in the church, telling them to give you a certain amount of money for some type of blessing. It doesn't work that way. Half of them are hearing from the dark side because the Most High doesn't operate that way. A little leaven leavens the whole lump. So if you're operating that way, then you're listening to a familiar spirit anyway. Give me knowledge, because that's not how he operates. He don't play games on his people. And so basically that's what we wanted to get at, just looking at the idea of not ignoring the fact that power is still real. There's still a power of Yah. And when you're actually in Yah, you're not supposed to lack power. You're supposed to have something. Even the power of faith and prayer, that's power. Like if you can get a breakthrough through Yah, that's power. Sometimes you're not gonna have time to fast for 7 days and this and that. The person that you're praying for may die tomorrow. So what's gonna happen then? There has to be a level of understanding that Yah listens to you when you actually begin to come to him with a real heart that's set after him to do the things of him. He'll listen to you, he'll take heed, his ear be turned and inclined to actually do what you're saying based upon the actual situation that's going on. Sometimes it's just pointless. Sometimes he's not leading you to pray for this person. And we don't want to hear that because people think, oh, man must always pray. Say, man must always pray and faint not always pray for somebody. That's it. That's the thing. So we put these words in the proper perspective. We'll see what they're saying. Man must always pray. You should always pray, but you're not always being said, be quick to lay hands on no man. You don't always need to lay hands or pray for people all the time. That's because sometimes the person is not in the will of Yah. You need to pray that they get saved, that they get in the will of Yah, because what you're doing is pretty much casting a prayer before swine. You spend a lot of energy on something that Yah has already said is not going to work. That's the same. When the judgment came to David, he already knew that that child that he had prior to Solomon was going to die. It was over, no matter what he did. So when the child died, he got up off his face and brushed himself off. He said, no sense me even crying no more because it's over now. What already was told him, nobody can come pray that child doesn't die. I have to make it clear because people want to live in a supernatural world and not really look at things how it works in the things of the realm of Yah. You can't pray against judgments of Yah. You can only pray that Yah turn the judgment if he see fit, if he want to change, but you can't. There's no way you can do it. The word say Yah has blessed him and no man can curse. And whom he cursed, no man can bless. So you can't reverse it. Say Yah has done it and I cannot reverse it. That's it. So it's like we have to get out of this wicked world of La La Land and all this dreamland and stuff that we watch on TV, Alice in Wonderland and stuff. It didn't work like that here. Yah has an order. And when he sent forth judgment, judgment has to become forth. It's like they want the lamb, but they don't want the lion when it comes to Yahushua Mashiach. They don't want the one that's coming back with that golden scepter. They don't want him. They want the one that actually just run around just doing like healing and stuff like that. Now it's more to it than that. They got to get that one that whooped them out of that temple. That's the one they don't want. You know what I mean? Like that. So it's like they don't want him. I mean, that's the thing. So it's like it's all about, all the nice stuff. Everything that sounds cute is what they want to do. But when it comes down to judgment, nobody wants that part of it. They don't want that part when it comes to the actual judgment of it. But this is what we have to get at. We have to make sure that we're in the Ruach and not in the flesh, and we're actually not being led away with anything that's weird or strange, that's not being tested by this foundation, which is Yahushua Mashiach. And outside of that, we say, so be it. So Father, Yah, we thank you right now for the word that went forth right now. We thank you right now for just, being with us, making sure that we begin to walk in the Ruach HaKodesh, making sure that we begin to acknowledge Yahushua Mashiach, making sure that we begin to know that the power still exists, that the power is still here We're not powerless, we're powerful. And we thank you that we can do all things through Yahushua Mashiach, which strengthens us. We think that we know that we begin to wrestle, but we're not wrestling for the things that are of this world. We're wrestling to begin to set us free from these things of this world. We make sure that we don't have to be in a fleshly manner. We'll make sure that we begin to walk in the Ruach HaKodesh at all times. Make sure that we begin to pray, that we direct our prayers toward the will of you and not toward our will. That way we're not just casting our prayer before swine. And Father, y'all, we just thank you right now for just being with us. We just thank you for just being with us throughout this day as we begin to go out. Father, y'all, we thank you for beginning to make every crooked way straight. We thank you we begin to go out. We do the will of you, Father, y'all, not our will. In the name of your son, Yahushua Mashiach, we pray. So be it.